You know, I've been sitting here, trying to find a single fucking thread of the person I used to know. A shred of decency I could hold on to. Maybe some memory that would make this easier. But every time I pull on that thread, the whole goddamn tapestry unravels into this pathetic, rotting mess you've become. So let's just lay it all out on the table, shall we? Because I am so fucking done hiding this truth of what you are. You're a traitor. Not in some grand geopolitical sense. You're not important enough for that. You're a traitor in the smallest, most intimate, and most disgusting way. You took conversations, thoughts, and fears that people trusted you with. I trusted you with. And you weaponized them like a cheap fucking knife. You screenshotted, copied, and pasted our private words to other people like they were trading cards, like our vulnerability was your personal piggy bank. And for what? A few cheap laughs? To feel accomplished? Maybe to have some sense of power? You exposed pieces of people's souls to the cold air, and when they shattered, you didn't even have the fucking spine to pick up the pieces. You never apologized. Not one genuine or tearful, "I was wrong." You just shrugged and moved on, because other people's pain has always been a spectator sport to you, hasn't it? You absolute fucking prick. And while we're on the subject of your rancid little mouth, let's talk about that cozy chat you had with your buddy, shall we? I saw the chat. He sent it to me. You said, and I quote, "I could talk to him about my side and would slander Bazia for being R-word." Yeah, that's me you're talking about. Me, the guy who actually gave you the time of day. You sat there, typing this fucking shit, plotting to make a slander or something, with some other sycophant who I probably don't know about, all while calling me a slur for people with intellectual disabilities, like it was a casual fucking hobby. Then, you doubled down. Everyone else in TT is soft as baby shit, can't handle slurs and shit, and act perfect. Bro, Bazia was also throwing R-word in private too. Are you kidding me? First of all, you don't get to speak for me. Second of all, you think tossing around that word makes you tough? You think being able to handle slurs is some kind of badge of honor, in your opinion. It's not. What you just said is just a proof of that you have the emotional range of a teaspoon and the moral backbone of a wet napkin. You mistake shock value for strength, and that is the most pathetic, try-hard bullshit I've ever seen. You're not edgy. You're exhausting. You're not brave. You're just too chicken shit to actually form a real opinion that doesn't rely on punching down. And the fact that you tried to drag my name into your little pity party about how soft everyone is? Fuck that, and fuck you. You don't get to weaponize my name to justify your own garbage behavior. And let's talk about your history, because it's not a past, it's a fucking pattern. You were 15, and you knew exactly what you were doing when you groomed that younger person. Don't you dare hide behind the excuse of being a child yourself. At 15, you knew the difference between right and wrong. You knew that you were wielding a power imbalance like a blunt instrument. You fed that kid lines, made them feel special and seen, all while you were mapping out how to get what you wanted. That wasn't a mistake. That was a calculated predatory choice. And the fact that you've never shown a flicker of remorse for that, the fact that you've never stopped all of this shit, and after all of this, you can still look in the mirror and not see a manipulative little shit staring back, tells me everything I need to know about your little moral compass. It's broken. It was never installed. You were fucking wired that way. You're a predator, and you don't even have the guts to own it. Then, there's the verbal garbage you spew with such pride. You say the N-word with a hard R like it's a birthright, like you've earned some sort of linguistic badge of courage. Bullshit. You haven't earned a damn thing. You're just a coward hiding behind a keyboard, or maybe a phone, and a false sense of provocation. You use that word not because you're edgy, but because you're empty. You have no original thoughts, no real personality. So you borrow the venom of racists to make yourself feel relevant. That's not cool, and it's not rebellious either. It's the verbal equivalent of a toddler throwing a tantrum. Loud, ugly, and deeply embarrassing for everyone who has to witness it. Except for your fucking friends who tolerate it. You're a racist little shit, and everyone sees it. And the sister thing? Jesus fucking Christ, I don't even know how to say this without YouTube blocking this. Nude photos of your own sibling, your flesh and blood. You took images that were never meant for your eyes and used them for your own personal selfish gratification. That isn't just a violation, that's a sacrilege of trust. You turned your sister from a human being into a digital object for your own sick pleasure. That is a stain that doesn't wash off. That's not a mistake, that's a sickness. And you've never once admitted that what you did was grotesque. You just buried it, pretended that it didn't happen because acknowledging it wouldn't mean acknowledging the monster that lives in your chest. You're a fucking degenerate for that alone. Oh, and let's not forget the grand facade. You strut around online talking about college like it's a pedestal. Like you've ascended to some intellectual plane that the rest of us can't fathom. But we all know the truth, don't we? You never even properly moved to the 10th grade. You floundered, you failed, and instead of owning it, you built a fantasy world where you're the scholar. You use college as a shield, a bullshit buzzword to deflect from the fact that you can't even handle the basics. You're not smarter than us, you're just louder. And louder has never been a synonym for better. You use that excuse to belittle people, to talk down to them, all while you're drowning in your own inadequacy. It's not impressive. It's a cry for help, dressed in a hoodie. And frankly, it's a pathetic one as hell. Now let me tell you this. I study in a fucking university, and I'm on the 3rd course because I managed to pass all of my exams properly, so you don't get to say this shit about me. Fucking prick. And finally, the cherry on top of this rancid cake, your transphobia. You attack people for simply existing, for trying to live their truth. Why? Because it makes you feel big? Because punching down is the only fight you think you can win? You don't know their struggle, you don't know their courage, you just know your own petty fear of things you don't understand. You mock their identities, their pronouns, their lives, as if your approval is some sort of gift. Newsflash, asshole, your approval is worthless! Your opinion on their humanity is less than worthless. It's a testament to your own stunted, shallow fucking pathetic soul. So here we are. You're 18 now, about to turn 19 in a couple of months. An adult by law, but a child in every way that matters. You're a traitor, a groomer, a racist, a predator in your own home, a fraud, and a bigot. That's your resume, and that's your legacy. And the worst part? You'll watch this video and feel probably nothing but anger. You won't feel shame, because shame requires self-awareness. You won't feel guilt, because guilt requires empathy. You'll just get defensive. You'll call me a hater. You'll twist it to make yourself the victim. You'll probably screenshot this and cry to your little echo chamber about how mean I am. Hell, you're probably gonna prove to me that you can't take accountability for your actions. But I want you to remember this moment. I want you to lie in bed at night, years from now, when you're alone and wondering why no one genuine wants to be around you. And I want you to remember every single goddamn word. This isn't me being cruel. This is me being honest. The brutal, unvarnished honesty that you've never had the guts to give yourself. You are not the king. You are not the hero of your own story either. You're Leo, the cautionary tale. You're a waste of potential, a waste of air, and a waste of my fucking time. Remove your video related to one of my friends. Remove every single one of our interactions that's ever known on the social media. Never come back in my fucking eyes. And the mask that you got me? You know, people learn to separate gifts from people. So, thank you for gifting it, but fuck you. Genuinely fuck you. Goodbye. Rot in the loneliness you've earned.